Ever dream of taking your family on a dream Hawaiian vacation during the holidays? If so, listen in as we recap how we did just that for our families and how you can do it too. Welcome to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Hey, I'm Alex.
And I'm Pam, Alex's mom.
And I'm Jess. Let's talk points. So, we all just recently returned from spending some of the holiday break in Hawaii. Alex and Pam and Alex's family of 6 were on Maui at the Hyatt Regency Maui. And then me and my blended family of 6 were on Kauai at the Grand Hyatt Kauai. Obviously, used points and miles for the vast majority of our flights and hotels for this trip. So let's get into how we each made this happen. So Alex, kick it off with how you booked the Hyatt Regency Maui for 8 people for $0.
Well, I technically booked it for 4, and then my mom booked it for 4. I didn't book it for everybody. But yeah, this was really exciting. So last December, December 2023, the 3 of us were in Arizona at our retreat, and I don't even know how it came up, but I just decided, let's go. I'm going to take my family to Hawaii next year for Christmas. I'm going to surprise my kids with a trip. So every year for Christmas, we do a family gift. So one year it was like a double shot from Costco, like the basketball double shot game. One year it was like a bounce house for the basement. So the little Fisher Price ones when they were really little. So every year we try to do a fun gift like that. I think one year we did a ping pong table. And this year I was like, we're going to do a trip to Hawaii for our family gift. So I booked it when we were all together so I booked it a year ahead of time. And it was super easy to find the dates because I booked it, a year ahead. So one thing to keep in mind is with booking these properties at peak time like Christmas. So we were there December 27th to January 2nd. We were there for 6 nights. And if you want to guarantee that you'll be able to go there for a really, really peak time, both of our hotel and Jess's hotels were sold out. So if you want to get a more nights, you need to book it early. I will say, though, I do feel like the Hyatt Regency Maui is easier to book than the Grand Hyatt Kauai. And I had looked like 6 to 9 months out, I want to say, just for fun. And there was still availability. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I haven't booked yet and I want to do that for my family next Christmas, not all hope is lost. You might still be able to do that. So just the sooner you're booked, the more likely you'll get the exact dates you want. So anyway, like I said, we were there the 22nd or 27th to January 2nd. We went at peak pricing. That's just how it's going to be during the holiday season. So we paid 35,000 points a night for a total of 210,000 points. So I transferred Chase Ultimate Rewards to Hyatt to book this stay. And I kind of went back and forth. So the standard rooms, you can get a 2 queen room or you can get a king room with a queen sofa bed. So I decided that I was going to do the king room because I remember we went in April of 2023 with my parents for spring break. And you guys had the king room, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And we were able to get upgraded to a king suite room. But I remember being in her room and just feeling like, wow, this room's like pretty spacious. I really like the floor plan there of the rooms because when you walk in, there's the bathroom and then the bed faces like not the traditional way when you walk in a hotel room. Usually you have the bed facing, I don't even know how to explain it without showing you a picture, but like they face not the traditional way how you usually walk into a hotel room. And it just kind of made the room seem more open because the bed was tucked up against the back wall instead of out there in the middle of the room. And so it just felt more spacious. And with my kids, I didn't want my husband and I to have to sleep in a queen room or queen bed if we could have a king bed. And the sofa bed was really nice because it has like 2 kids can fit on it, but then there's also another little like lounge part of it where there's even more room. And so I actually think that maybe the king room could be a good option for families if you have younger kids that are fine sleeping on a sofa bed. My kids are getting to the point where they're starting to complain about sofa beds, but I'm also like, you're in Hawaii and you're 12 years old, so you're going to be fine. So that's what we booked. You also booked the king room as well. And it worked out really, really great. what I actually did though, so I booked 6 nights on points. I forgot about this till looking at my notes here. And then I got a Hyatt category 1 through 7 free night award from hitting 60 Hyatt nights. It's one of the milestone rewards. And I applied that and was able to get 35,000 points back. So that worked out really great. This is a category 7 hotel at peak pricing. Like, that's the best use you will ever get out of a category 1 through 7 free night award. So that worked out really great. So yeah, Mom, why don't you share kind of your booking and thoughts about it?
Yeah. And I think when we go, the way that we book works for us because one of Alex's sons, Kai, he's second to youngest, just always figures he's staying with grandma and grandpa. And grandma and grandpa are fine to have him as a roommate. He's the best roommate ever. And so he keeps us laughing, but he's, does his own thing. Perfect roommate. So I booked as soon as Alex invited us. We get invited on most of their family vacations. I think I'd probably call and ask her what's wrong if we didn't get invited on one. But
I
we
think
left.
my kids would say the same thing. They'd be like, why are grandma and grandpa not coming? This is weird.
Yeah. So because it was so packed, the hotel was, I tried to use a suite upgrade award and that didn't work. They just didn't have any to give out. Had just celebrated a 50th wedding anniversary and I thought, well, I'm going to try the template. I mean, this is going to work for a 50-year anniversary. It works for other anniversaries. Of course it's going to work. So I sent that in our template. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And I got a letter back that said that they'd upgraded us to a partial view room. Wow, not great. When I did when I did check in, they did say, oh, you're here for an anniversary. Congratulations. Would you like a free bottle of champagne sent to your room? I says, well, we don't drink, but thanks anyway. Thinking for sure that I was going to go to the room. There were going to be treats. There were going to be, or they were, I kept waiting for the knock on the door. They were going to bring something. Nothing. And then I think we went to eat and Alex came back and her room had flowers on the bed and a nice note congratulating her on her anniversary. So I think they got us mixed up.
Well, what was really funny about that was, so we had messaged them and asked to have our rooms near each other, which they did, which was really great. And, for the hotel being sold out, it just was even nice to get a partial ocean view. It could have been nothing. But it was so funny because I was like, wait, I didn't say anything about an anniversary. Like, why do I have flowers and a card here? And then I realized my anniversary was actually the day we checked out. So it was our 16-year wedding anniversary, but I didn't tell them. So I don't know if it was like on my notes or something. Like maybe I'd mentioned it to them before. I kind of think they just got us mixed up, Mom. But it was just kind of funny because well, it is our anniversary the day we check out. I was just so wrapped up in Christmas and the kids and all the things that I forgot that it was our anniversary. So I didn't even send them anything and try to get anything, but I was like, oh, dang, I should have, but I guess it wouldn't really have mattered.
And Pam is like, I don't care about flowers on my bed. I want some cake I want some chocolate cake in my room.
Right. And the funny thing is last time we went, it had been Eli's birthday, Alex's oldest, and she had messaged, sent them a message and written something and was just loaded up. There were non-alcoholic drinks. There was a cake. There were treats. I was just thinking, whoa, what am I going to get for 50th wedding anniversary? And I go in there and I go, nothing. Now,
I joked that she was getting the Jess treatment because last time I went to the Hyatt Regency Maui, I didn't get a dang thing, not even a letter. So Pam got the Jess treatment at the Hyatt Regency Maui also.
Yeah. And to be honest, they were so packed. They told us that they had been at 30 to 40% occupancy since the wildfires. This was the first time they were 100%. I'm sure they were struggling. I mean, honestly, the service was really good. I'd say housekeeping was a little so they didn't do as much stuff as you sometimes get with housekeeping. So that was the only place where I saw that they were struggling a little bit with all that, increased occupancy. So we did talk to some people there who had used the template. And they got better stuff than we did. So I just want to tell you that use the template because it really, swear it works better for our readers than it does for us even. I don't know what you guys do, what you're adding to it, but they're
Well,
on
one of
time.
them that we met a girl that follows us and there, and she said she got an ocean front. Was that a suite? I don't remember if it was a suite or room, but it was ocean front. So, I mean, incredible views. She said she had sent it like a month or two ahead of time, which we don't ever do. But looking back, it's like, okay, if you're going on dates where it's going to be sold out, that's not a bad idea to get your name on that list earlier. So it worked out great for her. And we were at the pool and she came up to us. I was like, oh, I've got to just let you guys know we're here because of what we've learned from you guys. And it was really fun to meet her. And she told us that, and we were both like, what? We got but barely like a sliver of an ocean view. Like, it was just really kind of fun to hear the template working so well for people. And I will say I'm not very good about using it, and that it renewed for me, I got to start using that template.
Yeah, every single time and way ahead of time. So I did book it the same as Alex did. I booked a king room with a pull-out couch. It was 210 points, 35K peak nights. Now, I will tell you that this hotel does have a club lounge. And one of the things that was really nice, because they were at peak capacity, they actually opened up another huge room. It was like a ballroom because the club lounge is kind of small there for the amount of people. It would have been insane to try to get food with all those people. And so they opened up this huge room, and that was really nice. I didn't go down for breakfast. I'm not a huge breakfast eater, but Alex and my husband and the kids all did. And I think it was okay at first, but after a while, when you're getting towards the end of your stay, you're kind of sick of the same food. It was kind of the thought
Yeah.
I had.
Like the first day, I was like, wow, this is great. Like, they had scrambled eggs, bacon, fruit, yogurt, different pastries, just a nice variety. And sometimes when you go to hotels, the scrambled eggs don't look very good. But these ones were good. They weren't all wet and slimy. I hate when they're like that. I won't eat them. But they had you could put cubed ham and cheese on your eggs. They had some nice things like that. And I loved that they opened up that ballroom, because sometimes in the lounges it feels a little tight. And then with four young kids, I'm like, oh, worried about them being in other people's way. And just unaware that we're in a busy place and proper etiquette. And this was so great because I didn't have to worry about that. We could all just relax and eat breakfast. It was never busy in the ballroom. They had a couple TVs set up where they had Wii's or Nintendo Switches, and the kids could play Mario Kart or Super Smash Brothers while you'd be eating. And that was really nice too. And yeah, I thought that was such a great idea of them. And they just we met someone there who was telling us that they had just opened it the day before we got there because it was so crowded in the other lounge. So I just thought that was so smart of them to really quickly kind of pivot and figure that out. And it went so great. The service in there was amazing. Everybody was so friendly, always asked what we needed. And just, yeah, the service was really, really great. And I heard that they do that for holidays when it is at capacity. I just don't know if I don't know if they were not expecting it this year or if they were always planning on it, but I had heard that the days leading up to Christmas and the 26th were a little rough. So I was really grateful we got there when we did and that we had that lounge. Like my mom said, we did get a little tired of breakfast by days, I would say 5 and 6. I was like, I'm kind of sick and tired of eating this. The nice thing is they would rotate, one day would be pancake, the next day would be French toast. So they would switch out the hot kind of
Right?
more kid item. So that was nice. And my kids never really complained about it. They were always happy with it. And and then they'd have snacks during the day, just like chips and cookies, granola bars, drinks. And then in the evenings, they would have food as well. So there was a couple times where it did work out for us for dinner. I would say last time we went, I thought the food was a little more kid friendly. This time it was more
Shrimp.
shrimp, and they would have rice with it, and always would have vegetables and things like that and fruit, but some of it was more just not as kid friendly. Like in the past they did have mac and cheese one night, which was nice. But in the past they had like sliders and mac and cheese and things like that. And so some of the food wasn't as kid friendly for my family, but I saw a lot of other families really enjoying it, and it can be a huge money saver. I think those club access awards, if you can get your hands on one of those, using them in Hawaii is the way to go. It will save you so much money.
I agree. And I will say that I felt like the evening food in general, even though it was probably more adult friendly, I don't think it was really good. I mean, the shrimp I had was not good. It's like, don't serve shrimp and get your people all excited about having shrimp and then have it nasty shrimp. So I wasn't, in love with it. So just know that, if you're going there and you're planning to have dinner in there, don't have really high expectations, but it certainly can save a ton of. So one of the things that I loved, and I think we all enjoyed on this trip, and Jess had the same thing happen, is we ran into so many of our followers. I actually met 10 different people. Two of them were in airports. I traveled home with one of them that follow us, and we love them. One of the things that we get from people is, oh, I don't want to interrupt your vacation. Oh, I hate to be a bother. You know, don't be shy if you see us on vacation. We love hearing your stories. I think one of the things Alex and I most loved was talking to people who said that they had brought their parents with them and that they gotten their parents into Points and Miles also. And we're like, oh, this is so great. This is, being able to see the real life successes that you have is huge for us. That's better than anything we do, is to see you're out there. People say, I never could be doing this if it wasn't for Points and Miles. We would never be on a vacation. Then hearing people that have been to Hawaii, they've been to Greece, they've been to multiple places, and they've been there taking their whole family, taking extended family. That is like life changing. To hear that you've had success with what we teach people to do, that is priceless. That was the best gift of Christmas, is to see that other people are out there doing what we learned to do, and find so amazing too. So never be shy. Come up, say hi. So
Yeah, and
Jeff,
like you were saying, Mom, I loved the people that were like, "Oh, we're here with my parents," and to me, that just resonated because it's the exact same thing that we do. We're there, my kids with their grandparents, and with that, they get to develop these relationships with you in a unique way than just, especially where we don't live in the same state. We don't get to see you every day like my sister's kids get to. And so it's really nice to be able to have those experiences and build a really unique, special relationship between my kids and you and dad. And that was really fun to see other families are able to do that and create these special memories between grandkids and grandparents. So I loved seeing that people were doing Points and Miles, with their extended family.
so Jess, you're up. Tell us about what Kauai was like for you.
Well, Pam met 10 people and I only met 3. So,
And my mom was keeping track.
We were having a contest.
So I'm convinced that either most of our audience goes to Maui or I have RBF or both. I was like, y'all, no one is coming up to me like, either I look angry and no one is like, people are scared to approach me, or I don't know, like, or no one is that.
Hawaii is just so much more spread out.
Yeah.
Whereas like Hyatt Regency Maui is just more condensed. So I don't think it's you. I think it's the hotel.
So we booked Grand Hyatt Kauai for the exact same dates. It just kind
Not
of worked.
planned.
Yeah, it just kind of worked out that way. So December 27th to January 2nd, same deal, category 7, peak pricing. We booked 2 rooms for my family of 6. Pam was already booked those dates, so I had to just shell out all the points myself. I couldn't have her, put a couple of my kids in her room. So we paid a whopping $420,000 Hyatt points for our 2 rooms for 6 nights. I know that sounds like a ton, but like between the ink cards and referring my husband and referring Ella and referring my mom, it really wasn't that hard to rack up that many points for me. I just transfer. Like I said, I basically transfer all of my Chase points to Hyatt. So yeah, 420,000 points. The cash price would have been $12,000. And so I feel like pretty good value for those points. You know, we could never have afforded to pay $12,000 just for the rooms. Hawaii is expensive enough as it is. We booked the first week of January 2024 is when we actually booked it. And so almost a year out, same deal. So the thing is with Hyatt, if you book 2 rooms under your account, you only get qualifying nights for 1 room. So like I knew even if I booked all 12 nights under my account, I'm only going to get credit for 6. And so what I did was I gifted a guest of honor to Ted. I applied that. So I made a booking under his account with my guest of honor award that I gifted to him. So he also got 6 nights credit, and I got a night for him redeeming the guest of honor. That's a new thing where like if you gift someone a guest of honor award, you get 1 qualifying night for their stay. So instead of just 6 qualifying nights total, I got 6 plus 1 for his stay, and then he got 6. So that's just kind of like a creative idea for you to spread out your qualifying nights. He's not going to hit globalist, but the nice thing about the Hyatt Milestone Awards is like maybe he'll hit 20 nights, you know, now that he's getting those 6 and then the 5 from the credit card. So we'll see. But I figure it's better to get more than just 6 anyways. Same deal. So Ted and I booked a king room with my account, and then we booked a 2 queen room for the 4 kids. I asked for them to be near each other, and they were just 2 doors down. I'm at the point where like our kids are old enough that I don't want connecting rooms with them. Like I don't want them to be able to just open the door and be like, "Hey, we're here." So I was kind of like close but not next to. And so they were 2 doors down, so it was really convenient. So our room was a king room, and then I think all their king rooms at the Grand Hyatt Kauai have like a sleeper chair. And so it's only big enough for 1 person. But if you're a family of 3, like if it were just me, Ted, and Molly, I would totally book a king room and have her sleep on the sleeper chair. Because like you, Alex, I am all about sleeping in a king bed, especially if I'm using my points. I'm like, I'm sleeping in a big bed. And so, yeah, so we did not get any sort of upgrade, but they were really good about tempering my expectations. They reached out to me a couple of weeks before our stay. I replied back saying, we were celebrating my stepdaughter Olivia's 21st birthday. Like anything they could do that would be special would be greatly appreciated. And they wrote back and were like, "Look, we're sold out. You're probably not going to get an upgrade." But they didn't say it that way, but that's basically what they said. So I appreciated like, you know, going into it knowing that I probably wasn't going to get an upgrade. We did not get any sort of upgrade, but we had a parking lot view basically, but we were on the top floor. They were like, "We're going to do our best to give you like the best room for your category." So we were on the top floor. So it was more like a greenery view. You couldn't really see too much of the parking lot. I didn't think it was terrible, and we really weren't in our rooms very much anyways. And so it was fine. It was free, but they did gift Olivia a lot for her birthday. So when we checked in, the woman was like, "Is it okay if I gift you a bottle of champagne to celebrate her 21st birthday?" And I was like, "Oh, absolutely. Can we have one for each room?" And she was like, "Sure." And Ted was like, "Oh my gosh, you're ridiculous." So she goes and like at the Grand Hyatt Kauai, they'll give you like a bag with a bottle of champagne, or she said sparkling juice would have been an option too. So champagne or sparkling juice, and then 2 champagne glasses. So she gave us 2 of those. And then when we got to the room, there were 3 other bottles of like wine, there was like a rosé, red, and another bottle of like sparkling rosé, and then a tray of cupcakes and all sorts of like chips and caramel popcorn. I was impressed because they were also sold out. You know, I was impressed that they brought us that much stuff.
Don't bring up the caramel popcorn. That's what my mom was hoping for. She's like, "I really wanted caramel popcorn."
I bought it.
Yeah, she went and bought some later on.
Yeah, so they did really well with the recognition, despite not being able to upgrade our room. And then one thing I wanted to point out was that they have relocated the club lounge, which was a huge improvement in my opinion. It used to be really far away. And so now it's where the old Don Darrow's was if you've stayed there before, but basically it's right off the main lobby. And so it's in a really central location. So like if you're going from the pool, it's really close to the pool. Cause that was my gripe before. It's like if I'm at the pool and I want to go to the club lounge, you're talking like 10 minutes, 10-minute walk to get to the club lounge and then 10 minutes back. And so now it's right off the main lobby in a much bigger space, which they desperately needed. They still have an outdoor area where you can sit. It has nice views of the ocean. It has really nice views of the sunrise if you're out there early enough. And so the food offerings have not changed. It sounds like they're pretty similar to what was in Maui, the scrambled eggs, the yogurt, the fruit, the rotating entree every day. And then, of course, they have a latte machine, which I got my money's worth out of because I was in there like 4 times a day getting a latte. Same thing for their snacks. It was like cookies, brownies, chips, mixed nuts, pretzels, that kind of thing. We did not have dinner in the club lounge at all, but again, it sounds similar where like each day of the week it's something different. They did have sliders one night that I saw, chicken wings one night, like chicken satay. I don't think it's like Molly's really picky. And so other than the sliders, I don't think she would have eaten any of the dinner offerings. But if your kids are a little bit more adventurous, then maybe that could be a good option. Like Pam and Alex said for a dinner
Did they
there.
still have the water machine where you can add in the flavors?
No, they
That was my
didn't.
favorite.
I had forgotten about that till you brought it up. They had a water machine, but it was like you could either do like still or sparkling water. It wasn't like they didn't have the
You
flavors,
couldn't do
but they
flavored
do
water.
they do still have the machine, like the dispenser that gives you pog juice, and that was a big hit with the kids. And
Yeah,
so,
nice.
and they have like cereal. Did yours have ours have like cereal boxes? And so I would just like
Yeah.
snag a couple to bring in the car for
Yeah,
for our
Noah had
day
one of those
trips.
every morning.
So if you want to take a trip to Hawaii like this with your family, make sure to get our digital product that will walk you step by step through exactly how to make it happen, including the cards to open, how to redeem your points, and more. We will link that product in the show notes.
All right, so we're going to get into flights now, how we made our flights to Hawaii happen. As you know, the dates that we were all traveling were not cheap dates. And so we kind of had to be a little creative a bit here. Jess and I both flew Southwest round trip. Funny enough, like we didn't realize this till maybe a week before, but we both had layovers in Las Vegas on the way there and the way home. And so we got to see each other and our kids got to all meet each other. Well, they'd met, my kids and Molly had met, but they hadn't met Jess's stepkids yet. So that was really fun. So yeah, we used Southwest companion passes. I always try to look and book when I know that I'm going to be flying Southwest. Southwest, their flight schedule doesn't release that far out. And so my hotels are usually already booked. If it's a Hyatt stay, my hotels are often booked before the flight schedule comes out. And so I kind of have set dates of this is when I need to fly. And so when the flights came out, they didn't even have wanna getaways. And I don't know if they had I don't think they had sold out because I literally got on that day. I think sometimes they maybe play a little bit of games with when they release their flight schedule and the prices. And so I just kind of waited for the price to drop. It didn't really drop. And I ended up booking Business Select. And then the price dropped for Business Select. And I ended up paying 36,000 points each. So keep in mind, I do have 2 companion passes, so I had to buy 4 tickets. So 36,000 points is a lot for a one-way flight to Hawaii. I would say we usually get round trip between 36 to 50,000 for my family. And so that was definitely on the higher end. The nice thing, like eventually Wanna Get Away did open, but it wasn't any cheaper than what I'd paid for our 36,000 Business Select. So I just kept our Business Select tickets, which actually worked out really nice because on our flight to Las Vegas and then our flight from Las Vegas to Maui. When you book Business Select, you get A through 1 through 15 boarding. And so we didn't have to worry about, any issues with where we're going to sit or anything like that. So that worked out really nice. Will I do that again? Probably not. That's the first and probably only time I've ever booked Business Select because it just so happened to be that it ended up being cheaper than Want to Get Away. So that's what we did for our flights there. Coming home, the flights were really expensive and I didn't book those right away. They were like maybe 70,000, something insane. And so I was like, I'm not booking these. I'm going to wait. I know Jess and I were kind of texting each other throughout being like, oh, I just checked. They haven't dropped yet. And she's like, oh, I just looked and the prices have dropped. So we were kind of keeping each other informed on, even though we were going to different islands, we knew it would probably be like pretty similar how the pricing and stuff would work. So they did drop a little bit, but at that point, I didn't have enough Southwest points to book my family. I had already booked, or I think I had booked flights for Costa Rica for later in the year. So like I was pretty much drained for my Southwest Rapid Rewards. And I didn't want to transfer. I could have transferred my Chase Ultimate Rewards to Southwest, but it's just not as good of a value when I could get, this insanely expensive stay in Hawaii booking through Hyatt. And so what I've done a little bit is I will buy those Southwest gift cards when they have sales at Costco or Sam's Club, and you can get them like a $500 gift card. $500 gift card will be $429. So $70 off, which is like a pretty good deal. If you're going to be spending the money anyways, you might as well get $70 off. So I had a couple of those. I don't remember how many I had, but I also had done a deal where there was, if you use like one Amex membership reward, you get 40% off an Amazon purchase. And so I got 40% off, or maybe it was $40 off. That makes a lot more sense. I think it was $40 off. So I got a $200 Southwest gift card for $160. And so I've done some of those little tricks. I used some Amex Business Platinum credits. So I had like $200 worth of credits from that. And so all of that combined is how I got our flights home. So I just paid cash. I think after all of my credits and gift cards, I paid like just over $1,000 for the 4 tickets home. So I didn't feel like it was too terrible, especially for crazy busy time of the year. And it worked out. So it worked out so well that this holiday season, they had those gift card deals again, and they have them fairly regularly. I bought some more. So if you're, running low on Southwest points, you're going to fly Southwest. And for us, like it doesn't make sense to not fly Southwest when we have 2 companion passes. And so I like to kind of stock up on those gift cards when I'm running low on points.
So like Alex said, basically exact same. We had 2 companion passes also because I have a companion pass. And then Ella got that limited time offer where, how sometimes they have that where like you apply for the Southwest personal card and you get like 30,000 points plus a companion pass that's good through X date. So her companion pass is good through the end of February 2025. And so we used it for Hawaii, and then we're using it again in February for our trip to Costa Rica. And so I was like, between Hawaii and Costa Rica, that alone, especially given how expensive these flights were.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that more than makes up for like the smaller sign up bonus on the card.
And I think sometimes that offer comes out, and because it typically comes out every year. So if you're listening, keep your eye out. It's usually, I want to say, is it February?
Yeah,
March?
I was going to say like in the spring.
Early spring or late winter.
So you don't get it for nearly as long, but it's so much easier to get.
Yeah.
And like you said, if you know you're going to be traveling over the holidays, it's kind of almost a no-brainer to just get that offer if you're not going to be able to get it the other way.
Yeah. And ours were even more expensive, probably because we were flying further distance.
Yeah.
So Ted, Molly, and I were flying from Houston. The other 3 kids are flying from Chicago. I synced it up to where, we both had a layover in Las Vegas, and then our flight from Las Vegas to Kauai, we were all on the same plane. I think ours were like 42,000, and that was Want to Get Away. That was not Business Select. And so it was the same thing where like I paid for 4 tickets on points for the way there. And then that depleted my entire point stash basically. And so the way back, I did the same thing where it was like a combination of those Costco gift cards. We had some flight credit. You know how like you can, if your flight's delayed, you can complain to Southwest and then they'll send you like $100 or whatever. So we had some flight credits that we used, Costco gift cards, and then a little bit more money out of pocket. But basically same thing for Alex. We did not, here's my Southwest soapbox that I'm about to get onto, Alex.
I support this. I would have been so bugged if I were you too.
We did not have a great experience with it wasn't like the flight attendants were fine. The flights themselves were fine. I think we were on time for all of our flights, but I bought early bird check-in for all of us for both flights. And so, you know, like when you add that up, you're talking what, $300 probably on early bird for 6 people.
Did you have credits or had you used all your, because you get credits?
I had 2 credits. Card. I think I had 2 credits. And
okay, so you had to pay
$250 or something out of pocket to get early bird check-in. So we go to check in for our flight, or like I go to just get my boarding pass for our flights to Kauai. I get C22. That is and I'm the first one. Like C22 to C27 or 28 is what we got. Okay. I was so annoyed because I'm like, this is ridiculous. They should stop selling early bird at some point. You know, like, because
if you're not going to get in B group, you should get a refund on, because the same thing happened to us coming home. I did early bird for us and we were in the C group too. Like our flight from Maui to Las Vegas was C group, and then Las Vegas to Salt Lake was A group, but like they don't really care about the hour-long flight.
And so the same thing happened coming home. I got C23 with my early bird check-in. I have emailed Southwest. I'm waiting to hear back, but I basically was like, please give me a refund for my early bird because this is ridiculous. Like if you're in group C, you're basically guaranteed to get a middle seat. And I'm like, it's just crazy because the flight from Las Vegas to Kauai is 6.5 hours. And so I'm like, we don't have family boarding because all of our kids are older than 6. So I'm like, okay, a 7-year-old is going to sit in a center seat between 2 strangers for 6.5 hours. Like,
that's great. Jess, did you get middle seats? Is that what you guys all have?
So what I ended up doing, okay, because Molly's 11, but she has she has diagnosed anxiety. She has diagnosed ADHD. Like she was like just freak. She was like, I don't want to sit in between strangers for 6.5 hours. Like she was freaking out. So in Las Vegas, I went to the desk, the gate agent, and I was basically like, there's 6 of us traveling together. The other 4 are totally fine just sitting in middle seats, but she really wants someone to sit by. Like, can we board with family boarding? And I explained that I had bought the early bird, and he was like, that's ridiculous. And he was really great. He actually gave us pre-boarding, which he didn't need to do, but I think he just took pity on us. And so Molly and I were able to sit together, but I'm just like, the Southwest seat selection cannot come soon enough for me. We're actually going back to Maui. We're going to Maui in July, and I booked our flights in Hawaii, and I did not book Southwest. Like, even though we will have a companion pass, I was like, I am not flying Southwest to Hawaii. I'm not dealing with this again. And so I actually ended up booking through like the British Airways trick and the Turkish Airlines trick for our flights to Hawaii in July, because I was like, I was over Southwest and their silly boarding process at that point. So I will not be flying Southwest long distance again until they have seat selection.
That's crazy. Well, let's get to how I got there. And as I've said before, I usually don't use points and miles for domestic travel, even though this is as long almost as going to Europe. I actually am not a fan of flights to Hawaii. They exhaust me because they are so long. I looked at, on our flight, there were some lay flat business seats, but they were like $2,500. It's a direct flight. Takes 7 hours. It was great, but I'm like, I'm not paying. It's just too much money. I didn't want to use the points, was the miles for it was really a lot too. So I automatically get economy class when I fly because I have status with United, which is why I want to keep that status. So that's one of the reasons I usually pay cash. So what I did is I booked our seats. They were economy class. They were really great seats. There were in the very back. We were like 39K in L, and there were two seats together. There's a huge area for your feet because the lavatory is to your left, but the door isn't there. They have to go into a hallway. So it's kind of like a galley setup. Was really a great seat. I knew that if I didn't get upgraded, which I pretty much figured I wouldn't be upgraded, that they would be fine. I did have plus points because of my status, and I tried to upgrade with that and really crossed my fingers that that would happen. But I guess there were a lot of people that were willing to pay that huge amount of money to get business seats because we were not upgraded. I will say the one thing that I didn't like is that because this is an exit row, it was freezing on this flight. I had a sweatshirt. I brought my own blanket. I had United's thin blanket. I don't know why they call it a blanket. It is so thin, it does nothing for you. And I froze the whole flight. I talked to an attendant and she said they keep it at 74. And I thought, didn't feel like any 74 to me. And then she said that exit row, you just get so much air through there. So next time, I mean, it was a great seat if you're flying economy plus. I'm just going to have to bring a lot more blankets. So coming back, don't like flying United just because it leaves at nighttime. Like at 10 o'clock is when it leaves. You get into Denver at like 6 in the morning. I don't sleep on that flight. Even when I have used points to get business class, it's not a long enough flight for me to get sleep. And so I'm just miserable. I feel like my flights to and from Hawaii leave me with more jet lag, and especially coming back, I am miserable for days. And so I thought, I'm not doing that anymore. And so I knew that Alex flies Southwest. They always leave in the daytime. They get back there in the daytime the same day. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do that. And so we decided to buy business select seats. I wanted to get the best seats I could get. They were expensive. Just spoiler alert. If you're going over the holidays, plan that you're going to spend more in points, you're going to spend more in cash, you're going to spend more on everything you do. And that's just what happens. The same thing kind of happens a lot during the summer. Just figure it's going to cost more. And so I knew that it was going to cost more, but we were, I think, 8 and 9 on our flight from Maui to Sacramento, and then 1 and 2, Sacramento to Denver. That flight was not crowded at all. We got the bulkhead seats. They were great. From Maui to Sacramento, it was really got good seats. At least my husband did. In the exit row, there is an area where one of the seats on the right, on each side, there is not a seat in front of them. And so they get a really lot of legroom. That's what my husband got. I just got normal. I got the aisle.
We call that the Southwest first class seat.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty nice if you can get that. And then I just had the aisle seat and it was fine. And I actually much preferred flying that way, even though we left Maui at noon. We were got to Sacramento. We went to the escape lounge there for a couple hours, and it was nice to get off and to walk around. And then the only thing is we were delayed a little bit. By the time we got to Denver, it was about 1 in the morning. So it made for a long day.
Yeah.
But I had already planned on using a Marriott certificate that was expiring soon to stay at the Westin there at the airport. So all in all, it worked out really well. I liked it way better than flying that direct flight from Maui to in United late at night. Those red eyes are just horrible for me. So let's move on to rental cars.
Yeah. So all of us are pro, like, you need a rental car in Hawaii. If you don't get one, then you're just stuck at your resort. And there's so much more to see on all of the islands than what just your resort has to offer. They can be very expensive. We got a minivan, and I think it was just over $800 for the minivan, like my mom said. Expensive time to go. And minivans, that's just how minivans are. They're more expensive. So to save, though, it could be a really good way to use your I didn't do this because I had already used my Venture X credits, and then by the time I had booked it, my new Venture X credits had come, like the $300 credit that comes with that card each year. I'd already booked my thing, and I thought, I'll save that for something else. So that can be a really good way to use your Venture X credit or your Sapphire Reserve credit if you have either of those cards. I booked our rental car via Costco. I always just choose whichever rental company is the cheapest. I'll also check Auto Slash, but in this case, Costco had the best price. I ended up booking through Alamo, and a few days before we left, I went on to my Costco confirmation, and then there they had my Alamo confirmation number. And then I took that Alamo confirmation number onto the Alamo site, and I was able to check in ahead of time. So that way, when we arrived in Maui, where there was tons of people arriving, we didn't even have to go to the desk. And we don't have any status with Alamo. I don't even know if we've really ever rented with Alamo, but because I just checked us in online, Mitch was able to it's nice thing about Maui is they have a little tram that will take you to the lot. The setup there is really good. It's so much better than Kauai setup for car rentals. But he's able to take that and just go down to the parking garage and literally go get in a car. And the only time he talked to somebody was when he was leaving the rental lot and had to show them his credit card and his driver's license. And so that's something to keep in mind all the time. Whenever you're renting from anybody, sometimes you can just sign up for their loyalty program, and you don't even always have to have status to be able to, pass through that check-in counter and just get your car much quicker. So that was so great to not have to worry about that. I paid for it on my husband's Sapphire Preferred, and then we declined their insurance. So that card gave us primary coverage. So that's always a great thing to do. We recommend putting your rental cars on a Sapphire Preferred or a Venture X. Those are our top choices for that. And then Jess, I was actually mine was good. Like our rental process went very smooth, but yours was even better.
Okay, so like you said, car rentals in Kauai can be a little bit of a cluster. They do not have a sophisticated like car rental center the way that Maui does. It's basically like a bunch of little lots for each car rental company. This will be my third time renting a car in Kauai. And so I knew going into it, I was like, this is going to be such a mess. They don't have the things where it's like you can skip the line and just see your name on the board. Like there is no board, And so even if you have status with these car rental companies, you still have to wait in these long lines in Kauai. And I was like, I'm dreading the car rental situation. But then someone in our Facebook group posted about this company called Pineapple Express. I think it's relatively new within the last couple of years. You basically rent a car through them. They pick you up at baggage claim, take you to your car, and you're good. Like no waiting in lines. No, they were great, super communicative leading up to the car rental. They were cheaper than Costco or Auto Slash. We got a 7-passenger minivan for the week for $675. They also included beach chairs, a cooler, and an umbrella preloaded into the car, ready for us to go. So super convenient if you're traveling with a family. They don't just have we got a minivan because there were 6 of us, but they have Jeeps. They have other kind of cars too. I will link them in the show notes, but it was super easy because they were like, text us when you land. We'll send you a picture of the car we're driving. We'll pick you up. We'll take you to your van. So like, but it's from a landing to driving off. It was like 20 minutes, and that's including getting Ted's bag from baggage claim because of course Ted checked a bag. And so
what was the drop-off process like?
It was Ted and Ella dropped all of us and the luggage off like at the airport, and then they send you like a pin with a code to like get into their lot, and so they drove the lot over to drop the car off, and then the owners like brought them back and dropped them off with us.
Oh, nice.
And so yeah, I mean, I think it was probably a 10-minute process all in. I charged it to my Venture X, and I can confirm that it codes as travel. And so I personally did not use points or miles to cover the purchase. But if you wanted to erase the purchase with your Venture X miles or your Venture miles, you could, because it does code as travel. And like Alex said, it's just easy to, have that peace of mind of charging to either the Sapphire or the Venture X for their rental coverage. But all in all, totally recommend them. They were really easy to work with.
I love that they had this stuff in the car for you, because to me, one of my least favorite things is when you get there and you're like, okay, well, now we got to go to the store and go, or, one of those rental shops and go rent chairs and umbrellas and boogie boards and snorkel stuff. So I was always like, there needs to be a company that just drops all that stuff at your hotel room for you. But even better if they put it in your rental car.
Yeah, like it's already in there ready to go. So it was really nice to have all that stuff.
All right, so just quickly, we're each going to just kind of share kind of what it was like visiting during the holidays. So, Mom, do you want to tell kind of what it was like visiting the Hyatt Regency Maui during the holiday break?
Well, it was busy. It was really busy. But Kaanapali Beach is busy all the time. So I don't know if it felt that much busier. I'd say definitely in the lounges it felt, busier because they had to open up the other one. Seating at the pools at the Hyatt Regency is always harder to find. And they're kind of doing some construction. They used to have this little underwater grotto. They're fixing that. And so I think it's taken a little bit of what the main pool used to be. We like to go next door over to the Hyatt Residence Club. We never had trouble finding seats there. And so, the other pools there at the Hyatt Regency, the kids splash thing and where the slides are, really busy. But again, we are up early. I think, we kind of we're up at crack of dawn. And so we're out there early. We are by 8:00, we're out getting our seats. So we didn't have a problem, but it was really busy. And you just expect that. I think anywhere you travel over the holidays, it's just going to be busy. That's when families can travel. It was horrible weather in Denver. And so the weather in Maui was amazing. In fact, we came home, and as I'm recording this right now, I'm looking at snow on the ground. I'm like, can I just go back to Maui? It's so incredible to be able to use points of miles and go somewhere in the winter time where it's just really good weather. You can wear flip-flops and just, enjoy it.
It's like we kind of almost forgot it was even winter at home.
I did. I completely did.
It was like we couldn't have asked for better weather.
Exactly. So Jess, how about you? What did you think about it over in Kauai?
I loved the hotel was still decorated for the
that was how
Christmas
it was.
tree.
Nice.
Like the Christmas tree was up, the lights were up. It was beautiful. The nice thing about, there are pros and cons of the size of the Grand Hyatt Kauai. A con is how big it is. It might be a pro to you. Like if you really want to get your steps in Hawaii, then that could be a pro. It's very spread out. The good thing about that is that there are so many seats by the pool. Like the pool, there are so many pools, and there's the lagoon, and then there are so many seats. And so we did not, even though the resort was sold out, it never felt super crowded to me. The pools, we were able to get seats. We didn't have to wake up and save a seat or anything like that. We were able to get seats at the pool. It was definitely the most crowded it's ever been while I was there. And so I don't know that I would return during that. Like it was more the flights than the hotel that really turned me off from traveling there during that specific week for the holidays. So I don't know that I'll return for the holidays, but it was fun to do it once. I would definitely say make reservations for any restaurants you want to go to that accept reservations, because the restaurants are really crowded. We
had that same issue. It was kind of crazy. And I think a lot of it too was, this was the busiest, that we heard this multiple times. This was the busiest the island had been since the fires. And so there's just, still some, you're going to have some issues and stuff, which is to be expected, but it was still fine.
Well, also there were a ton of restaurants that were burned out and that haven't been built again. And so there was less choice. So
less restaurants, more people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So there was a lot of wait times, and we kind of had to be strategic of, okay, we're going to go eat dinner at 3:00 today. And then we'll get some snacks or go to the lounge if we need something else.
Yeah, so there's Seaview Terrace at Grand Hyatt Kauai, which doesn't take reservations. It's just first come first serve. We would just get there if we wanted. We ate there twice, and they open at 5, and we would just get there right at 5, and we had no problem getting a really nice seat there. They have live music. That's one of my favorite restaurants there. And then we made reservations at Tide Pools. They're more fancy restaurant weeks in advance, and then they have another sushi restaurant that said it was sold out, but I texted the hotel and I was like, I'm a globalist and I'm staying at the hotel. Is there any way you could get us in? And they were able to accommodate us. And so definitely always ask, like, even if you're staying at a hotel and it says that there isn't any availability, it never hurts to just ask if they can fit you in. But yeah, and then the club, like you said, Pam, we were up early every morning, and so we would usually get to the club around 6:30 when it opened, so we did not have any issues. But there were times where, like, we saved so much money with the club lounge with Charlie. He is an
I bet.
18-year-old boy and he eats all day long, and so he would just routinely go back. Like, if we couldn't find him, we'd be like, he must be in the club. So he went, I think, at like 9 one day to get his second breakfast, and he was like, it's packed in there. I left, I couldn't take it. And so I think if you go early, then you'll be okay. But like you said, between like 8 and 10, it seemed to get much more crowded in there. But I don't know, like, would y'all go back for, I think the thing that's hard is, like, okay, obviously Hawaii is crowded in the summer, but the summer is like 2.5 months long, so it's a little bit more spread out versus, like, if people are traveling for the holidays, it's like everyone is there that exact same week.
Yeah, I mean, I want to travel over the holidays, but I don't know if I'll go back to the Hyatt Regency Maui for the holidays just because I
Yeah.
want to try other things. I
Yeah.
would go to Kauai and be like, let's try that or do something else. Or like, let's go to Mexico for the holidays and, kind of just test
No,
some
I'm
other
definitely
things
going to
out.
travel. I just don't know if it's going to be Hawaii again at that
Yeah.
specific time of year.
Yeah, I think for me, my thought was kind of like, I loved, like, the nice thing is the kids are off school.
Yeah.
And this was our first time really leaving as a family during the winter, leaving Utah for somewhere warm. And we absolutely loved getting out of the garbage weather and getting somewhere warm. So what I would maybe consider doing is going in January. We have like we have a couple days off in January, like Martin Luther King Day. We get like that Monday off. And so I would maybe take them out of school and just, butt it up to a date where they have off. And so they don't miss maybe one last day of school. But I would maybe consider going in January instead, where it'll be honestly, like, going at Christmas or the holiday season is going to be the busiest time of the year. Probably still going to be busy any day, any holiday break. But I would rather go in January next time.
We've gone in February because Molly gets that like week off in February. So we've gone in February before, and that was amazing because there was like no one there.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just spoiled by that.
Totally. All right. So wow, guys, we've been talking for a long time. There's a lot to say about Hawaii. Okay. Quickly, we'll go through just some of the activities that we did. So, Mom, do you want to kind of cover a few that we did?
Yeah, for me, I'm not that I'm adventurous sometimes, but I wasn't on this trip very much. I kind of just stayed around the resort, just laid around. I did a lot of reading, read a couple of really good books. One was A Quiet Life, and the other was what was it? A Beautiful Life? Could be two the same. All is beautiful. Anyway, I'll have
Send
to
her a message if you want to
send
know
me a
what books she
message if
read.
you want to know, but both were good. One of the things we did every day that I loved, and actually Alex has done this before and I didn't because I didn't think I would like it that much, and I was obsessed, was getting acai bowls from Vintage Island Coffee Company at Whalers Village. So we would walk down there every day. It was about a mile walk, get a little exercise in, and share these huge acai bowls. They were amazing. What's the one that we like so much, Alex? It has coconut cream.
Yeah, it's the Hapia Moana Bowl, and it's got frozen coconut cream in it.
It is amazing.
Basically coconut ice cream. It was so good.
Yeah, I could do that every day. So for Pam, it was just kind of a chill vacation, just hanging out. I played some cards with my grandkids and did a lot of reading. So Alex got more into and her kids got more into the real activities. So Alex, tell us about that.
Yeah, so our first day there was actually super nice. A family came up to us at the Hyatt Residence Club pool and was like, "Hey, we're leaving today. Would you guys want our boogie boards?" And we're like, "Yes, please. That'd be great." Mitch had actually just left to go rent boogie boards and snorkel gear. So I called him and I said, "Hey, don't get boogie boards. Someone just gave us 3." So that was awesome. And then when we left, we then gave them away to somebody else. So the cycle will just maybe continue with those boogie boards. So we love or boogie boarding at DT Fleming Beach. It can get a little crazy. So definitely be careful and, watch the waves because they can change. It can be really calm there and then it can be really wild. And so we just would go in the morning, see what it was like. We think we went 2 or 3 mornings there and the waves were perfect for the kids. They weren't too big, but they do have lifeguards there and stuff too. And then snorkeling, we just went right in front of the Hyatt Residence Club to snorkel. And that is one thing we really love about staying at the Hyatt Regency or the Hyatt Residence Club. We actually really love the Residence Club. It's just much harder to book on points. We've stayed at both. But that's what we love so much about staying there is the beach is literally right there. And they do have areas of the beach where it's blocked off because just to get down to the beach is blocked off because they're trying to recover what's the word I'm
Erosion.
looking for? The what?
Erosion. It's like
Yes, the
erosion
erosion.
recovery, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And so we've heard people be like, we went there and we couldn't go down on the beach. Like, no, you can go on the beach. You just have to find the entrance. And then you can be right in front of the Residence Club. So we loved snorkeling right out there. Well, I didn't because I don't like snorkeling because I get a little motion sick from the waves. But my kids loved it. My 8-year-old, this was his first time really doing it. And they saw turtles, they saw eels, they saw these little funny little fish, needlefish, that's what they were called. And it just was so great they could just be like, okay, we're swimming at the pool. And then 10 minutes later, they're out in the ocean snorkeling. And so that's something we really love about the location of this hotel. The really bad downside of our trip was my youngest kid did get sick and he was sick for a good portion of the trip. Just low energy. He had a stomach bug and luckily it wasn't too bad, but his energy levels just didn't really rebound. And so we didn't, we were tag teaming who was up in the room with him. And so we didn't leave the resort as much as we normally would have, but we still had a great trip. He did get his older brother sick, but luckily his older brother was sick for less than 24 hours. So my little one got the brunt of it, but we still had a great trip. And one thing that I was really grateful about with this trip was even though we got sick and it definitely, or some of us got sick, it put a damper on things. We didn't spend $14,000 to go on this trip. We used points and miles. This wasn't like some huge bucket list trip that we've never done and we'll never do again. And we hadn't been saving for years to be able to take the family here. We've been to Maui before. We're going back to Maui this summer. And so that it just made me really grateful for points and miles that this whole trip wasn't ruined and we didn't spend tons of money to spend part of our hotel or part of our trip in a hotel room with sick kids. So, yeah.
That definitely takes the edge off. I would have been so devastating if you're like,
yeah.
I put my life savings into this trip and now my kid is sick. So as far as Kauai goes, we actually were pretty active this trip and got off.
We're super active.
Yeah, we did we always do a resort day the first day just because with the time change, I don't like scheduling anything that first day. So we did a couple of resort days, but we were not at the resort a ton. We downloaded the Shaka guide, which I highly recommend. I will link it in the show notes. We did the Kauai bundle. I think it was $34.99, but they have options for every island. So even if you're going to Maui or Oahu or wherever, I highly recommend this guide. It's kind of just like an audio tour that uses your GPS. And so it tells you you can put in where you want to go. We did one to Waimea Canyon. Another day we did one to the North Shore in Honolulu. It knows where you are. It suggests places to stop. It tells you stories and legends along the way. And so it's kind of gives you something to do while you're in the car.
We
Kauai,
did that one on the road to Hana a couple years ago and loved it.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you. I totally recommend getting the shaka guide.
Yeah. And so it was just a nice way to like break up the drive. Kauai is pretty, I think it's one of the smaller islands. And so even though we were staying at the Grand Hyatt on the South Shore, you can easily do a day trip to Waimea Canyon, a day trip to the North Shore. And so yeah, one of the things though is Kauai weather is very unpredictable, especially in the winter. And so I don't like to plan. So this is what happened. The first time we ever went to Kauai was in March for spring break. I planned out every single day. And then like half my stuff got canceled because of the weather. And I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm just going and I'm looking at the weather like in the days leading up to it. And then I'll figure out what we're doing on what day, depending on the weather. So we were able to luckily plan it out to where like the day we went to Waimea Canyon, it was sunny out. The day we went to the North Shore, it was sunny out. We hiked the first mile of the, how do you say this? Kalalau Trail.
Yeah.
It's in the national park, like at the very end of the road on the North Shore. You do have to make a reservation. I looked out and like 2 days before someone must have canceled and I was able to snag a reservation. So I put a link in the show notes for how you can make a reservation. I think they open up to 30 days out. Highly recommend it. It was like probably a more moderate hike, but Molly did it in Crocs. So, you know, if she can do it in Crocs, then
I feel like the issue is it's just slippery and muddy.
it's slippery and like it's pretty steep.
It's
yeah,
uphill.
it's like steep and it's slippery. And so like coming down was actually harder because it was so slippery. But it was like the views you get of the Napoli Coast are amazing, like totally worth it. Even if we just did the first mile to the viewpoint and it was totally worth it. So highly recommend that. We went to Puka Dog at Poipu Beach, watched the sea turtles come in. That's less than a 5-minute drive from the Grand Hyatt Kauai. Charlie and Ted played golf at Poipu Bay Golf Course, which is right next to the Grand Hyatt Kauai. They had a ton of fun doing that. I got to give a shout out to Alex for recommending Aneki's Juice Bar. It's this really random juice bar in the back of a grocery store in Poipu, and the acai bowls were the best I've ever had. And so, Alex, thank you for recommending those. They got a lot of our money during our stay.
The acai bowls in Hawaii will get you. Budget in your acai bowls, no matter which island you go to.
But we've been talking forever, so I'm going to stop there. But check out I just posted all of my stories to Instagram and saved them as a highlight. Alex is going to start posting her Maui stories and save those as a highlight. So definitely go check those out if you want to see like actual photos or videos from our trip.
Well, each of us had amazing Hawaiian vacations, and we hope you can see that a holiday getaway to Hawaii or anywhere you want to dream of taking your family is totally possible with Points and Miles. If you need a little more help, don't forget to check out our digital product, How to Take Your Family to Hawaii for Nearly Free. We'll link it in the show notes. Aloha!
Thanks so much for listening to Points Talk with the Travel Mom Squad. Make sure to hit the subscribe or follow button from wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. Want to start jet setting even faster? Follow the links in the show notes to learn about everything we discussed in today's episode. And to stay connected and follow along, follow us on Instagram at Travel Mom Squad. We can't wait to see where in the world Points and Miles take you.